sure you keep up with all the new content on Gaming for XP. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, and we'll let you know once we've uploaded anything that's new. See ya! Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Cuttlers Bend, and in today's video I am going to build up the top here. This is the final favela build, and what I will do, because this is actually quite long, this video, so what I'm going to do is I will do a separate walkthrough video for this whole area of the settlement, and I will also enlist your help for the next part. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of the settlement. There's probably one more area that we have to build in, and then we should be finished. So I'm just putting this capture on. You notice I made it a little bit smaller through Place Anywhere. It was just a fraction too big for what I wanted to do with it, so I made it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to stick it up on here, and I'm going to sink it into the train carriages. And the reason I made it smaller is it didn't quite fit across this train carriage. It was hanging out on both sides, so I made it a bit smaller, sink it in there, and it becomes a little four-way 360 guard post, and that's what we end up making this into. Very simple idea, but given the nature of Gunners Plaza right in front of us and how active this area actually is with people shooting guns and throwing explosives and stuff, it's probably needed a lot. The defense is key. So like I said, very simple idea. We're just going to get these boxes to block up some of the entrances, and we'll put some sandbags in, and then we'll build a bit more on a couple of these areas. So this is very easy to do with these crates. They're very soft and very, very cooperative. Two on top of each other, hop them in. You can move them around if you need to, and there you go. You got kind of defensive wall, if you like, on your little guardhouse. And then we will go into, I think it's Vanilla Extensions, which has the sandbags. There's a lot of mods that have the sandbags. I think this is just the easiest for me to find, or easiest for me to remember, with that. It's going through a whole lot of different menus, and it saves a bit of time. So we'll just chuck that in there. It actually snaps in like that, and now we're good. But it's what I find out a little bit later. I know I'm going to show you in this video, but it's actually sitting the wrong way around. But there you go, nice little improvised guardhouse, anti-shimmer it, and we're good. So I think we're going to go and have a bit of a sleep in a minute. Just repositioning this a fraction, not by much, and then we're good. Just re-snap everything into place, make sure everything fits. That's fine there. Yep. You can see it was, and then we're going to sleep it because it is getting a tad dark, and it's no good for you seeing what I'm doing. Okay, so daytime. I put a little one of those crates as a step you can see in front of me, and now we'll get into the build menu and start to build out onto those other train carriages a wee bit. Okay, so a lot of this is really improvised. I had an idea in my head, and it sort of works, it sort of doesn't. So this is Port Royal mod that comes with the Master Plan series, and the Port Royal mod has a roof I want to use, and this is why I'm putting a wall here. Not that one, where is it? There it is, there, that one. So this roof causes me no end of issues, and also the way the walls are, it's not snapping the way I want it to. So I need to turn those walls around so it will snap in the right location. See, it's still snapping the wrong way. Yeah, so it takes a while to get this done, but we do get there. Okay, come on, pick the wall up, Put it in the right place. Yep. Come on, there we go. Now it will snap. Now the next issue, as you can see, is the blades are running through the wall there. So we actually have to go away and move the that water turret there, that big Hujima flip thing that I can't remember the name of. Don't hate me. Okay, so I'm trying a few things here. I'm just trying, and I thought I'd leave this in because it's it just gives you an idea how I improvise and try things as I go through. And I'm going, yeah, that's not going to work there. So I'm going to cut out the the finagling of me moving that big water tower power generator Hujima flip in a minute. So snap a wall on there. There we go. And see, it's still kind of, yeah. So what I was experimenting with there is I was thinking about putting walls on this, and I got a completely different direction. And obviously it's a scrappy build, so that's why I'm putting those poles in rather than those dedicated walls. I know that is annoying you. I will fix it in a minute, I promise. So obviously we need to create walkways onto different elements here, and the walkway I end up coming up with here takes forever. But anyway, that's the first attempt that you just saw there. Yeah, it gets a heck of a lot more complicated in a wee while. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you can see I've fixed the fan now. You don't want to see that. You don't know how long it took just to fix one element. I just got a new mod called supports beams and something else that actually stops these pieces. I can actually get these pieces to fit in without having to worry about sticking them on walls now. However, for this build, I didn't have that mod installed, so I'm going to use these kind of wall boards and then just start to build off of them and see what ends up transpiring. Big words, I know. Anyway, we're going to just chuck a whole lot of stuff in here and see what works, what doesn't work. There we go. I kind of like that. Yep. Maybe the big one, that one. Oh yeah. And see, this is something that you can do. Experiment with a whole lot of different elements and just see how they fit together, and just see what it gives you. If you don't like it, you can always scrap it. In fact, I was scrapping a whole lot of stuff at where was it? It was Abernathy Farm the other day, before I'd done the construction build, which should be up on the channel by now. And boy oh boy, when you build something as big as the arena and then you have to scrap what's left of it, you don't realize how many items that you actually sometimes put into a build. Do we have to get rid of it? I wish there was a scrap all button, Bethesda, take note, where you could just, or you could somehow highlight a couple items and scrap them all at once. It would make life so much easier. But hey, we wouldn't have as much fun doing things, would we? So there is a piece that goes on that roof, which I will show you in a second. And you can do a lot of things like this. I think I've said many times, use elements that you would not normally use for walls in your builds and see what happens. It can be a lot of fun, and it actually can end up giving you a completely different look that you wouldn't get otherwise. So encourage you to do this, especially with scrappy builds, so that it looks as though it's just chucked together with whatever they could find. Yep. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly I was trying to do there, but never mind. There we go. Anti-shimmer. Oh, I know what I'm doing, because now I'm thinking about what the doorway is going to look like, and thank goodness for Workshop Rearranged. You are an absolute angel for putting these single doors in. I've just recently lost Thematic and Practical because recently I'd done a clean install. Thematic and Practical. So I don't know if you know this about mods, but if you have a mod installed and you keep the current saves and you don't reinstall things and all the rest of it, if the mod has gone from, say, Bethesda.net or wherever, it will stay in your load order. As soon as you're doing a clean install and have to reinstall all your mods, it will disappear. And that's what happened with the Thematic and Practical. The mod author has pulled it off of Bethesda.net, and I want to go into the reasoning for that. If you want to go and check out his reasoning, I think you can still do that. But he has a very strong view on certain things, and so he removed his mod and made it unavailable for PC and for Xbox. And so I've done a clean install, not thinking, and I've lost Thematic and Practical, which had the single doors. So one of the reasons I could do that is I knew that Workshop Rearranged had recently put in these single doors for me. So all good. I know that was a long-winded explanation, but yeah, you don't realise how much you rely on one mod until you don't have it, and then you go back and look at your builds. And it's happened a couple of times with me now. With Snap and Build disappeared for a while and it's back, and also now Thematic and Practical. And you go back and have a look at your settlements, and there's just bits missing everywhere. Now, the beauty about these gap fillers is that once you get one snapped in, they will all snap off each other, which is fantastic. So I'm going to vary these up just a fraction and just snap these in just to fill in that gap a little bit more. But you can see it's actually looking, I'm actually enjoying the look of this particular building up the top here. There we go, push that in there, come on. There we go. So I hope you're enjoying this build. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a strange build because, yeah, and that will happen a lot. It's been a strange build because it's all kind of worked together and the ideas have flowed. That doesn't always happen in settlements. Sometimes you're just trying things and a lot of things don't work, and I guess you don't necessarily see that because I don't show you a lot of that kind of stuff. But this particular settlement, everything has worked perfectly and kind of just flowed, and the ideas have come, which is great. There we go. There we go, and we've got a nice little shack up the top for somebody to live in, and it's as scrappy as you would like to do it. And the second one we're going to do is right there. Yeah, I'm just checking that I can get under there. This is an area you probably haven't seen, but I'll show you in the tour, and I'll do a tour of the favela next week on the channel, so you can have a good look at how it looks and what all ends up being there. I can't guarantee that I'll have all the decoration done next week, but I'll have a fair bit done. And this is a step down or a walkover. Now I guess I could have done this a lot easier and not worried about it so much, but this becomes quite the project just to get this little element in and right and looking right and whatnot, and I end up using pallets and boards and steps and all kinds of stuff, but it actually ends up giving me inspiration to build what I build on top of this carriage here. So all good. But sometimes it's funny, the big parts of the build work, and sometimes these little parts of the build are the ones that give you the most headaches. I don't know if you find that. I certainly do. You know, all I'm trying to do is build a kind of a step down area so that it all kind of flows, and it takes forever. So while we're doing this, I'll just talk a little bit about what's coming up on the channel. I've got a couple of new segments in mind. Hopefully you will be, depending on the timing when this video goes out in the channel, I may have already put those up. If not, it'll be either this week or next week that I'll start to roll out some of those new ideas. I also have a build challenge for you guys to get your teeth into, and again that should be up fairly shortly. And based on the last one, I'm sure you will be giving me a few surprises what you generate as far as ideas for that particular build challenge. And it's based loosely around some of the builds that I've been doing recently. Now, what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to figure out floors and where to snap floors, and you can see for some weird reason that snaps and leaves a gap. No idea why, but it is what it is. And so okay, I've got to try and improvise there and see what we can do with that. And it's a fairly easy fix if you've got the right mods. These floor planks are fantastic. Actually, that would have fitted the other way, but we tend to run them this way. And again, it's all adding to the scrappiness. Not only is it adding a floor above, it is adding a little awning on the train carriage below. So that's all good. Let's push that across and put it into place just like that. And so now you can see we've got like a little awning there underneath, and we've got a floor to work on above. Fantastic. So we're just going to quickly put some supports in here, and then we'll hop back up on the train carriage. Here we go. It's a pretty easy fix. Boom, done. Nice. Okay. There we go. Transition magic. We're back up above. Now, you know, when you're doing this kind of things, these kind of builds, as you actually get further and further into them, it will present you more and more problems to solve as far as the build flow goes. And you'll see in a wee while what I'm talking about, where I realise once I get this little area built that I also now have to address other stuff. So snap a couple of roofs off like that. Now, one of the things you got to be careful of here is the height of this and whether you can get it underneath it or not. You see that full roof was going to cause me some issues of actually getting underneath, but I can't actually walk underneath with that half roof, so that's all good. Put some supports in, I guess, in a second, and then we will make this area we're walking around in and looking at as the main area for the dwelling. So supports in place, there you go, snappy snap. For some reason what I'm looking at is making sure that one doesn't poke down through the floor and sticks out, which wouldn't be a travesty, I guess, given that we're doing a scrappy build. It wouldn't really matter, but yeah, I'd prefer it not to. Now, for some reason this particular corner I can't find one to fit, so I think I end up having to just push it down through the train carriage in the end, or I just don't do anything and just ignore it. One of the two, I'm not sure, can't remember. Okay, see that fits, but that end doesn't. No idea why. I can sort of live with that. Yeah, you see that's actually hanging in midair. Okay. And these are the little things that can cost you lots of times trying to figure out how to fix that. So it took me a long time to kind of figure out in my head that just because that post is just floating there doesn't mean that you actually have to put another post or find another solution. And I'll show you what I mean in a second, because what as a follow for about the 16th time, you can actually use other elements, other building elements, just put in front of it or like that, and it makes it look supported. So something that it took, as I said, it took me a while to get my head around. So you don't always necessarily need to have a support, another support in there. Look for other elements. Boxes are good. Tires that we used in the apartments, the carriage apartments, a couple of episodes ago, are good. Boxes, whatever it might be, barrels, whatever, just to fill that gap in, just so you can't physically see that it's floating. So you really don't notice that. You do because I've pointed it out, but if you walk up to it, you're not really going to be inspecting it too closely. So now I'm looking for a whole lot of elements to add to this for walls. I get very, very lucky here that the junk wall that I look at actually snaps in. So I'm thinking about that'll fit in there nicely, but the supports are going to look stupid hanging out. Turn it around and just by luck it snaps straight into place. Okay, all good. And again, I want to make it look different for the one I've just built. So I now go and have a look at some other elements, and what I'm doing here is I'm searching for materials that I can use, and challenge myself to use different things for the walls. And so I come across a couple of these fences, which are, again, USO. I haven't explored every nook and cranny of USO, and so these fences, the white fences, had actually disappeared from a normal menu, so I've come across these just by curiosity. So we'll put this in here like that, and we need to snap another one off, change to a different fence. Might have to put a post in there. No, I'm just going to persuade it in place like that. There we go. And then I want a different fence to run up the wall there, so it's the one that will fit there, and well, there actually is, and it fits perfectly into that space there, just like that. So there again, you can the challenge has really made me expand my thought, start to work with different materials in an attempt to make sure that I'm going scrappier, and the more I use different materials, the scrappier the build is actually becoming in truth. So it's going to anti-shimmer those, and we are nearly at the finish line. Okay, so as I've said in previous videos as well, one of the things that you can do is just keep adding elements. So I'm adding a doorway here as a kind of window, and then that will allow me to snap something in there. So you could just leave it as a window like that if you really wanted to. That just adds some frames to those fences, and you could actually just leave that as a window. That would be perfectly okay. What I decided to do is I decided to just put another wall in here to see if we can find something a bit different to put in here. And this is actually a door that will snap right, or should snap it in there. I think I go with the second one. Do I go with this one? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done this build. Yeah, we're just going to snap that in there and have the fences showing on the outside, I think, from memory, just to add a little bit more interest to it, if I remember to press the right buttons. Okay, come on. Building professional, not. Sure I'll get some comments about that. So the fences are in the inside, so there you go. I've added that there. The only thing about having doors is dogmeat tends to come along and open them. So you might come along in the tour and that door's going to be open. So you see, yeah, I put the fences on the outside and fall off. Luckily I have a magic tool called video editing, and you don't see me running around and getting lost because the favela's got so complicated I can't remember which way to go up the hill. But we won't talk about that too much. I had a few more elements into this and we'll be done for today. And you can see it's certainly a little scrappy area up here, which we'll make into another dwelling. And it's funny, it's one part of this build that I've found is, one part is to get the building scrappy, but then you've got to try and decorate so that it all looks as though it's realistic and believable. So there's actually two elements to it, the building part and then the decoration part. So there you go, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this one. Come back next week and we'll do a full tour of this whole area. The favela build, it's been a good little project. Very unexpected that it was going to take so long, but I have enjoyed bringing it to you. So we'll catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya!